The Premed Year, session number 382. Hello, and welcome to the Premed Years, where we believe that collaboration, not competition, is key to your success. I'm your host, Dr. Ryan Gray, and in this podcast, we share with you stories, encouragement, and information that you need to know to help guide you on your path to becoming a physician. Thank you so much for taking some time to join me today. I have a lot to discuss, a lot of questions to answer. With everything going on right now with COVID-19 or SARS-CoV-2, I know you have a lot of questions. I know there's a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear, just a lot of uncertainty. And hopefully I can answer your questions today. I posted on Instagram and gathered some questions from students, so I will dive into those and hopefully answer as many questions as possible. All right, so let's dive into really the first ultimate question, which is, will the application cycle be delayed? Right, as I'm recording this, it is March 16th. Pearson just came out and said they're closing their centers until at least April 16th, I believe, so a month. I'm expecting probably longer than that. We'll see what the government does. As of yesterday, I think the CDC is recommending at least 8 weeks of kind of self-isolation, just shutting everything down to help slow the spread of coronavirus. And so as all of this is materializing, everything is changing. And I know there's so many questions, but really the ultimate question, the first question is, what will happen to the application cycle? And that question is hard to answer. Ultimately, the medical schools are going to still need to fill their classes, right? And so the application cycle will have to go on in some way. Now, when you look at medical schools, new medical schools specifically, we have precedents of new medical schools coming online and really just changing the whole application cycle for themselves, right? We had Carle, Illinois College of Medicine a couple years ago, brand new medical school, very late to get their preliminary accreditation, and really was just like added really late to AMCAS. And they said, hey, apply an AMCAS. We'll send you a secondary, I think, and we're just going to pick our students from there. And obviously those students still had an MCAT score. They still had all of that. But there's a precedence for medical schools to really change up what they are doing. And so that is an easy thing that can happen here, right? We can have the normal cycle going until, or going from May, beginning of May, end of May, June is when you can start submitting the application, through the end of October, mid-November, depending on schools and depending on which application service you are using. That can all be shifted. These are dates that can all be shifted, and the schools can set those dates individually. And so I can easily imagine a situation where the schools are like, you know what, our deadline this year is January. It's February. It's March. We're just going to push everything back. Take your time. Do what you need to do. So yes, I think without knowing anything, and nobody knows anything right now. So kind of before I even go even further is, don't call the AAMC right now. Don't call the medical schools right now. Don't call AACOMS or TMD-SAS. They need time to meet. They need time to discuss this. They need time to have conversations with the medical schools. Really, what you need to be doing right now is focusing on you, your family, focus on staying inside as much as you can, really slowing down the transmission of this virus so that we can give our frontline folks, the physicians in the emergency rooms, the nurses in the emergency rooms, all of the healthcare providers that are out there providing care, we need to give them a fighting chance. So first and foremost, control what you can control, and that is you slowing down this disease. Don't call people, don't email right now. Give time for them to announce what's going on. I know there's a lot of anxiety right now. I know that there's a lot of uncertainty, But what you can control right now is the thing that you need to focus on. Right now, you can control you, your emotions, how you are reacting to this. If you are still in school, you're still taking classes, those classes might be online. They should be online if they're not. Don't worry about online classes. We'll dive into that. There's a lot of questions around that as well. If you're obviously still in classes, focus on your grades. You don't want your grades to tank right now. I know that's an easy thing to have happen right now with everything going on. Focus on your grades. That's what you can control outside of that. So first and foremost, don't bombard AAMC. Let them figure out what they're going to do. As information becomes available, as more information that I can get from medical schools, from the AAMC directly, I'll be working with them as much as possible, reaching out to them as much as possible so that I can come and distribute it to all of you on YouTube and on Instagram and through this podcast. So take a breath. Don't call, don't email, don't flood their lines. So first and foremost, right, do I think the application will get delayed? Yes, in some way or another, it will get delayed, I think, right, without knowing anything, but just knowing everything that's going on right now. When we step back outside, the world will be slow to spin back up, and there will be a lot of things that need to be caught up on. So yes, I expect the application to be delayed. I expect it to be. I don't know if it will be, but I expect it to be. So what you can do right now, if it isn't delayed, is do everything that you should be doing right now anyway. Start working on your personal statement. The letters of rec is going to be a tough one, right? Because we want to kind of respect people's life right now and protecting themselves and everything going on. And like, you don't want to be emailing Dr. Smith, who's an emergency room physician, going, "Hey, Dr. Smith, I know you're out there fighting SARS-CoV-2. Can you help me out? I need that letter of recommendation." Right now is probably not the best time to do that. So letters of rec are going to be hard. Personal statement, extracurriculars, working on all of those things. So that's the things that you can focus on. Expect a delayed application, but I wouldn't bet on it. So still be ready. All right. And I know it's two different messages. Be ready, but expect a delay just in case. So one of the biggest questions, and I'll go through all these questions now that I have just as fast as I can, because there are a ton of them. You guys had a lot of great questions. Will AdComs accept online labs for the semester? Right, again, without knowing anything. I've reached out to schools. They're very busy. I haven't heard back from them yet. They're going to have to, right? Most students are online right now, and that's all you can do. There's nothing you can do. They're not going to force you. I hope they don't force you to take or retake a class just because, hey, sorry you had to take that class during the pandemic and it went online, but you're going to have to repeat. You're going to have to repeat that class and take it in person, right? It's like the Office Space movie. Like, yeah, I'm going to need those TPS reports this weekend, right? I'm going to need you to come in. If that happens, like, don't apply to that school. I'll call that school out online and tell them what they're doing is unacceptable. So don't worry about online classes, right? One of the best things that you can think about right now is, as kind of gruesome as it sounds, is that everyone is going through this, right? It's not one state. It's not one school. Everyone, this whole country, Canada, this whole world right now is going through this. And obviously, the people who are making these decisions are going through this as well. And if they don't have empathy for that, well, then I'll call them out. You let me know and I'll call them out. So don't worry about online classes, right? At the end of the day, again, control what you can control. You can't control the schools shutting down and going online. And the medical schools can't control that. They're not going to force you to say, "Oh, sorry, your lab online here is not okay." So don't worry about that. What are some ways to reschedule the test for March testers? Again, go to Pearson, follow what they're saying. I know some students have been rescheduling to June already. The schedule dates are going to fill up fast. Again, don't stress out about the MCAT because, again, my expectation is because of the delay in the MCAT, the application process is going to get pushed back. I remember when I applied to medical school, it was a complete cluster, right? It was the first year that AMCAS was available, the first year that it was not AMCAS was available. The first year was online, an electronic version of it, and it was horrendous. nothing saved ever. You would fill out all of the information, you would save it and move on, and then you'd go back and nothing would be there. And it took me way too long to that I don't care to admit, to realize that I shouldn't be typing directly into the boxes. I should be saving it in like a Word document somewhere. But yeah, I wasn't that smart, or I don't know what happened. But anyway, and then there were issues with AMCAS sending the application to the medical schools. And so they had to print out the applications and mail them. And because it was post 9/11, it was 2001 when I applied to medical school, there was a big anthrax scare at like the main post office in DC. And that's where the AAMC is. That's where they were trying to mail all these applications from. And that didn't work out very well. So there was huge delays. There were huge delays in getting the applications to the schools. But guess what? I wasn't alone. I was with every other student there. We all had issues. The medical schools had issues. They knew what was going on. They were empathetic to it. I still ended up with 2 interviews that cycle with not the best application. And I was rejected from both places, post-application, post-interviews. But, right, you're not going through this alone. So expect a reschedule. Don't worry about the MCAT right now. Try to get it rescheduled when you are comfortable. I know a lot of you are dealing with stress, with anxiety, with just the uncertainness of it all. Some of you may be dealing with loved ones who are getting COVID-19, who are in the hospital, in the ICU, who may be dying. And if you need to delay your application, delay your application. Delay taking the MCAT. The right answer for this is almost always delay. Take your time. Make sure you do it right. Take your time. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. That is almost always the right answer. So going through some more questions here. What med schools make us redo prereqs that we're unable to complete labs for? No, they won't make you retake like the classroom section of it, but if you weren't able to do the lab online, they'll probably, hopefully, have you take the lab. But again, right, there are going to be a lot of exceptions moving forward for the next couple years as students are going through this process. So again, don't ask the questions, just wait to see that information come out. The schools are going to have to put out information as to how they're going to handle students going through this process. So just please be patient with the schools and with the application services. What should I do? My volunteer positions have been suspended until April because of COVID-19. So this is a common question. I'll expand the question too, is I just got a scribe job. Should I take it, right? I'm worried about going into a hospital. I would be worried too. The answer again is you can't control that. If your job was suspended, if your volunteer position was suspended, it is what it is. Try to do as much as possible where you can. Again, socially isolating yourself. For the introverts, love this. I'm an introvert. The introverts love it. I saw a meme that's like, "Hey, introverts, reach out to your extrovert friends. They're going through a hard time right now, trying to be socially isolated." But again, you can't control if your position was canceled right now, suspended. If you got a job and you're thinking about taking it or not taking it, not being in the hospital, being in the hospital, that's up to you, right? You have to know your health risks, those who you live with, those who you are socially isolating yourself with. If you are exposed to COVID-19, which at this point we have to assume it's everywhere. Assume that if you're going to step foot in a hospital, you're going to be exposed to it, whether or not you become symptomatic. That's a completely different story. We don't know all the answers now. But assume if you are working in a hospital that you're going to be exposed to it. Are you okay with that risk? And if you're not okay with it right now, right, you're not a physician right now, you don't have to take that risk. So that's completely up to you. And again, the medical schools are going to be aware of this situation and go, "Oh, hey," they're not going to ask you in an interview, "Sally, I see that you stopped your position in March of 2020. Like, what happened?" Like, obviously they're going to know, right? They're going, "Oh, yeah, COVID-19. Okay, cool." Right? They're going to know. So don't worry about that. Oh man, are MCATs really canceled? Yes. Will pre-med courses now moved to an online platform be seen as less desirable? No, they can't, right? It is what it is. Do you think the application deadlines will change? Yes, I will. Would most students take an extra gap year to make up for lost time or apply anyway? That's going to be completely individual to the student. If you need to take a gap year because of the time that you're missing right now, is going to hurt your application, then I would probably have told you that you shouldn't apply anyway because your application probably isn't very strong. If the few months that we're on a hiatus here is going to impact your application in a big way. Do you need to take a gap year because you just want to step away from everything and just go hide in your house for a while? I wouldn't blame you for it. Then you can do that as well. Again, there's no right answer here. You need to do what you are comfortable with at the end of the day. That's the answer. All of these answers are do what you are comfortable with. Will medical schools make us redo? Nope, I already answered that question. All right, where did I go here? Could you please discuss how medical schools are going to deal with online labs for prereqs? Again, we discussed that. What if my MCAT gets canceled? You reschedule it. Do you think the application deadlines will change? Yes, I do. All right, just lots and lots and lots of the same questions over and over and over again. All right, so continuing on here. How will the interrupted hours of shadowing and volunteering hurt us as applicants? It won't. Again, the schools know what's going on. You don't have to answer because they know, right? It's not like you're the lone person who has this big gap in your hours. And again, if this is the gap in your hours and you just started or you were just going to start and this time were supposed to be your hours, then I would probably tell you that your application was weak and you probably should delay anyway, okay? Would it be fair if students couldn't take the MCAT in time due to shutdown of Pearson's site? Fair, not fair, that's not the question of the hour. Again, everything's going to be shifted around. Hospice canceled, volunteering at clinic so far optional. Up to you. Again, what is your risk tolerance for getting exposed? How long before symptoms appear? I'm not going to answer the kind of COVID medical questions. Again, my license expired several years ago. Go follow the CDC, go follow the World Health Organization for that data. When do you think schools will return in-person classes? So this is the question that everyone is asking. Right, I have a daughter in kindergarten. We're expecting her to be out for the rest of the year. That's just we're planning on it. The CDC, again, as of yesterday, I think, as I'm recording this, said 8 weeks is what they recommend, 50 people or less. Obviously, schools are much more than 50 people. So the expectation is that likely, right, if we think this is mid-March, we have mid-April, mid-May, that's when a lot of schools end. My assumption is that in-person classes are likely done for the semester, for the quarter, whatever it is at your school. Again, that's okay. Everyone is going through this. My interview is now online. How can I make my personality shine through a computer screen? So here's the trick with video, right? I'm recording myself right now on YouTube, on Instagram. Video is hard. You have to be extra animated on video for it to come through. If we were sitting across from each other, your level of animation and energy wouldn't have to be near as high as it needs to be through a video recorder, through a screen. So smile a little bit bigger, maybe talk a little bit louder, and just project a little bit more. Now, I do have a platform for this, and actually what I'll do right now for the next however many months, whatever it is, I just thought about this. I don't know why I didn't think about it earlier, is I'll make the platform free for the next couple months and it has limited capacity. And so only use this if you know you're interviewing online. But it's a platform that will, and actually, here's what I'll do. If you are interviewing online, just shoot me an email, ryan@medicalschoolhq.net, and I will give you access to the platform for free so you can practice your interviews through a computer screen. So yeah, just shoot me an email, ryan@medicalschoolhq.net. Give me the details of, and actually, I'm going to change my mind again. Email team@medicalschoolhq.net. I'll have the email go to my team, and they'll hook you up with an account. Just give details on where and when you are interviewing and let them know, Skype, Zoom, or whatever, just for those details. All right. I'm scheduled to take the MCAT April 24th. Will I have to reschedule? Again, not right now. I believe it was April 16th as the date. And let me just, I'll pull it up here as we're talking, just to be 100% sure. But I'm pretty sure it was April 16th was the date that I saw, due to increased concerns on or after April 16th. Yeah, so right now, April 16th is the dates that are starting again. But again, this is bound to potentially change. So just stay up to date. Just go to pearsonview.com for up-to-date details. Follow them on social media, on Twitter, on Instagram, wherever. Get those questions answered. Why are people stocking up on the wrong items? I don't know. The quarantine isn't it just for 2 weeks? Probably not, but we shall see. People freak out. This is obviously unprecedented times, and people freak out. And they want their toilet paper. All right, going back through some more questions here. I'm no longer allowed to shadow, volunteer, etc. This is a decision my clinical. Wait, this is something my clinical hours needed. Again, it is what it is. Everyone's going through this. Congratulations, you are a winner. Check my story. No, I don't want to check that. Really love your post. Thank you. Certain medical schools don't want you taking classes online. Will this influence that? Obviously, right? Obviously. Would helping COVID be a personal statement and experience gold, or should I stay home? You do what you want to do. Do not go in and go on your personal statement and be like, I knew when I went in, I was treating those COVID-19 patients, right? This is not time to brag. This is not the time to try to take advantage of the situation and try to make your personal statement stand out, right? Again, everyone is going through this, so don't worry about it. What are your risk limits for that exposure? How can I stay involved, or is it safe to? Again, that's up to you. Obviously, we know it's a very contagious disease. I think it's 2.2 or 2.3 or somewhere around there, the number of people that each infected person will infect. How will this affect my extracurriculars, my application with the sudden stop? Again, everyone is having this, so don't worry about it. I can't take a summer class needed for me to apply next cycle. What should I do? So remember that classes don't need to be complete for you to apply. That most schools are okay with prereqs being incomplete as long as you finish that class in like a C or above, right? I can't think of the right word at the moment. It's 10 o'clock at night. I'm tired. In a satisfactory way before you matriculate into that school. If MCAT this cycle gets pushed to later, would that affect my application since it's rolling? Again, every application is going to be affected. Every student. It's not just you. Don't worry. Take a breath. And again, don't overwhelm the medical schools or the application services with all of your questions. Let them communicate with you. Fighting motivation is hard with distractions around me. 1,000%, right? Everyone is handling this in a different way, whether they have loved ones who are really kind of sick, right? Not from COVID-19, but have a lot of comorbidities. And so there's a potential for them to get really sick if they do get it, to just the uncertainty of the world. A lot of people don't handle that well. Most people, I would say, don't handle that well. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of distractions. So again, going back to the beginning, do what you can do. Focus on what you can focus on. Focus on what you can control. And that's you and what you are doing day in and day out. And so you may need to go out for a run. If someone's walking down the street, cross to the other side, just stay away from people. How worried should we really be? That's the question, right? Should we be really, really worried? Everyone says, oh, the flu is worse, right? Again, I'm not going to talk kind of on a medical basis. This disease has the potential to be very bad. It's not going to wipe us out. We're humans. We've been here a long time. We're going to be here a long time. The question just is how many people are going to be affected. That is the question. I had an interview 6 weeks ago, haven't heard back, delayed decisions, potentially, right? A lot of schools, 6 to 8 to however many weeks. They should have told you at the interview how long to expect a response. Again, at this point, I wouldn't bother the schools. They're super busy with trying to figure everything out. One of the questions that I've been getting a lot of is the second looks. Like, well, how am I supposed to decide this? I was going to go on a few second looks. I had a couple acceptances. Right? The medical schools are just as bummed as you are that there are no second looks. That's where they really sell to you. Like, this is, right? We love you. There's no stress now. Just come and learn about us. Let us tell you about the school. Again, all of that is delayed at this point. All of it is canceled, the second looks. So do as much as possible. Reach out to the schools. If they're not offering or haven't talked about virtual second looks, I would reach out to the school and maybe give them that idea. They can have a panel of medical students in a Zoom kind of conference webinar. They can have the dean there, the dean of admissions, the student affairs person, right? They can have everyone there virtually and meet with students. And that's ideally what they should do. If not, I would reach out on Reddit, reach out on Student Doctor Network, find students at the school and talk to as many students as possible. How are they handling the situation right now? I've been private messaging with some students who aren't very happy with their school right now, with the communication coming from their school. They're MS3s and MS4s. They're in the hospitals. The schools aren't giving them much guidance. Should they be in the hospital? Should they be at home? What's going on? So talk to the students. What's going on, especially right now in this kind of time of crisis with so much uncertainty? Is the school there for the student? I think it's a good question to ask the students. I'm missing one LOR from a doctor. I'm planning on applying, but not able to shadow right now. Yeah, so that's going to be a potential issue. Again, with everything changing, will the medical schools go, you know what? We understand that letters of recommendation right now are really hard to get. We're just not going to care about the letters of recommendations. I don't know if they'll go that far because LORs are really important. But again, there's really nothing you can do. The question goes back to what I've mentioned a couple times is if you're shadowing right now to try to get a letter of recommendation, you're very late to the game if you haven't shadowed anyone. And so is your application really that good anyway? If you have shadowed previously, then why not reach out to one of those older physicians that you have shadowed and ask them? So potentially doing that. Do I know someone who's gotten the virus? Do we know if someone who's gotten the virus can get reinfected again? Again, I'm not going to talk about the medical stuff. I know there was one case report, so here I am talking about it. There was one case report in Japan, but there are some questions of whether or not she was really kind of cured of it. Do you think this could push students out an extra semester on graduating? I don't think so because a lot of students are just doing virtual online classes. Again, it's going to be very school dependent if they have the resources, the bandwidth to go virtual, but most schools seem to be doing that. So I think it'll be fine. If this goes on as long as it did in China, how will it affect the MCAT this year? Obviously, we just found out today the MCAT was canceled by Pearson, really. The testing center canceled it. My question is, will this potentially push the AAMC to do at-home online testing? Right? We have Casper from Altus Assessments. We have the Casper test that's done online on your computer at home. Can the MCAT, can the AAMC create something? They can. The question is, will they dedicate their resources to doing it? I don't know, right? We don't expect this to happen a lot, especially just a huge shutdown like we have now. It's obviously super unprecedented, and so they're probably going to go, you know what? This is a once in a lifetime kind of thing. We're not going to invest the money in it. I hope they do though, because it's a lot of stress for anyone to go and do that. So I would potentially think that the AAMC is talking about it, but again, I'm not the AAMC. I'm not speaking for them. I haven't talked to them yet about this. I do have some contacts there that I will reach out to and really try to get some answers, try to get them here on the podcast as well. How will this affect traveling for interviews? Obviously, a lot of schools are switching over to Skype. I know one student landed for his interview and got an email saying, "Okay, guess what? Surprise! Your interview is now going to be done virtually." He's like, "Oh, I just traveled here." As I'm recording this, the nation hasn't shut down yet. I know there are a few cities like San Francisco that are shutting down. I'm expecting, right, just my personal kind of opinion here, I'm expecting a shutdown. I think they're kind of staggering it with the national emergency on Friday, and then today the recommendation of no more than 10 people. I expect in the next couple of days that there will be a big national shutdown just to slow the spread of this virus. It's crazy, right? For me to have to sit here and say this, right? We need to slow down the spread of the virus. Right? It's literally out of a movie. It's crazy times. Again, preparing for video interviews. If you have a video interview, email team@medicalschoolhq.net with the details of your interview, and I'll get you access to my platform for free. Advice on preparing for interviews that are moved to video call. Again, same thing. Sorry, I'm reading these questions as I'm going, so I don't know if they're duplicates or not. Yeah, I think that's all of the questions that I can see here. A lot of them, obviously, duplicates. Let me scroll through Instagram here. Sorry, my YouTube audience here. I'm not doing YouTube live. If it wasn't asked already, what's your opinion on upcoming MCAT dates, students preparing for upcoming exam? The answer is still the same, right? Take the MCAT when you feel ready. Obviously, with all of the distractions around, expect that you're not going to be studying at your peak. And so if you were supposed to take the MCAT during this time when it's canceled, I would potentially expect, right, just to get your mind in the mindset, I would potentially expect, right now Pearson's saying they're closed until April 16th at least. I would expect that to be mid-May. So April, May. Yeah, so mid-May. I would expect if you're taking, a lot of people are taking like the April 24th, April 25th date, expect it to be canceled. Still study, but don't be super surprised if it's canceled. And if that, even just thinking like that, if that throws you off, then potentially just cancel it. Take advantage of the AAMC, very generous of them to cancel the schedule change fees and all of that stuff, to just push it back, right? If just thinking about that stresses you out, just push it back and really take the MCAT when you are ready. Summer courses, will they be canceled? It's too early to tell. China was down for a couple months. They're a very obviously different society. Their government shut things down very quickly. They got people with fevers and pulled them out of society. We're not doing that here. Right or wrong, I'm not blaming anyone, but just the facts, right? We're not doing that here. If you're symptomatic, if you're not sick, you go home. So it's different with what's going on here. I don't know how long it's going to take to kind of recover and reopen everything. So will summer be closed? I don't know. Do you think the medical schools will continue interviewing? A lot of them have stopped and canceled some of their later interviews. A lot of those later interviews are for waitlist spots. A lot of times, not every school, but some of them are for waitlist spots. So it's probably not super detrimental to the medical school to stop interviewing at this point. Wear more makeup than you would normally for your video interviews. Still conservative, just more foundation, blush, contour. Good advice there, Amanda. I like that. Toilet paper hoarders. Yes, don't stack up on toilet paper. I had a meme the other day about a medical school being out of toilet paper, and that was the application, right? Here's toilet paper. Accepted. Yes. Done. All right. Applying next cycle, can we squeeze our MCAT at a delayed date? Should we apply this cycle with the loophole? I wouldn't. I wouldn't try to manipulate and change things and go, oh, this is my chance to apply early. Just slow down and let things kind of settle. Some meme that said people are sucking up on toilet paper because they are losing their poop. Yes. All right. I think I've gone on long enough here with you. So thanks for joining me on Instagram Live. Thanks for being here on the YouTube video. And for my podcast audience, thanks for listening. I hope you have a great night, and we'll see you next time here on the Premed Years podcast.
This is MedEd Media.